Picture this. You're in your early 30s. You've been disciplined, saving for what feels like forever, and you finally have a solid down payment saved up, let's say $85,000. You start looking at houses. You find one you like, listed at $425,000. Suddenly, the pressure builds from all sides. Your real estate agent mentions interest rates might climb. Your parents ask when you'll stop wasting money on rent. Your friends post pictures of their new decks and talk about locked-in rates. It feels like the whole world is telling you to buy. But then you sit down and run the numbers, just like you should. At a 6.5% mortgage rate, with that 20% down payment, your principal and interest payment is around $2,150. Then you add property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and a realistic budget for maintenance. Suddenly, the total monthly cost for owning this house is over $3,000, and you realize you're currently renting a similar place for $2,200. A quiet voice in your gut asks, is this really the right move? That voice is asking a brilliant question. It's the most important question in personal finance when it comes to housing. Which option is actually cheaper? Today, we're going to answer it with clear, simple math. We're going to look past the emotional pressure and the old sayings. We're going to use a straightforward guideline called the 7% rule. This isn't about guessing, it's about calculating. Welcome to Invest Easy 101, where we make complex decisions clear for beginners. Let's start by dismantling a common myth. You've probably heard it, renting is throwing money away. This statement is emotionally powerful, but financially misleading. Here's the truth they don't tell you. When you own a home, you also throw money away every single month. It's just that the money goes to different places. Understanding where your money actually goes is the first step to making a smart choice. As a homeowner, you have several major costs that, just like rent, provide no equity and disappear forever. The first is property taxes. You never truly own your home free and clear. You pay the government for the privilege of owning it every year. On a $500,000 home with a typical tax rate, this could easily be $400 to $500 vanishing from your bank account each month. You're not building wealth with this payment. The second is maintenance and repairs. A house is a physical object that constantly ages. Experts suggest setting aside 1 to 2% of your home's value each year just for upkeep. For a $500,000 home, that's $5,000 to $10,000 annually, or $400 to $800 a month. This money goes to fixing leaks, replacing appliances, and repainting walls. It preserves your asset, but doesn't increase its value. It's a necessary cost of ownership, just like a utility bill. The third cost is the most overlooked, but perhaps the most significant, the opportunity cost of your money. This is a key concept in investing. When you tie up a large sum, like a $100,000 down payment in a house, that money cannot be invested elsewhere. Historically, a diversified stock market portfolio has grown at an average rate higher than the average appreciation of a home. By putting your money into a down payment, you may be missing out on potential growth. This missed opportunity is a real financial cost. Additionally, you have the explicit cost of mortgage interest. In the early years of a loan, the majority of your monthly payment is just interest, paying the bank for lending you money. At today's rates, this is a substantial amount. When you add up these vanishing costs, property taxes, maintenance, the opportunity cost of your down payment, and mortgage interest, they often total around 7% of the home's value per year. This is the foundation of the 7% rule. Here's how the 7% rule works in practice. It's a quick sanity check. Take the price of a home you're considering, multiply that price by 7%, which is 0.07, then divide that annual amount by 12 to get a monthly figure. This result represents the approximate monthly cost of throwing money away as a homeowner. It's the money that leaves your pocket without building your net worth, similar to rent. For example, for a $500,000 home, $500,000 times 0.07 equals $35,000 per year. Divide by 12 and you get about $2,917 per month. This $2,917 is your estimated monthly cost for property taxes, maintenance, opportunity cost, and mortgage interest, not the principal.
The rule states if you can rent a comparable home for less than this break-even cost, then renting is likely the more financially efficient choice in the short to medium term. This rule is a powerful tool because it cuts through the noise. It gives you a specific, numerical target to compare against actual rental prices in your area. It's not a perfect calculation, every market is different, but it's an excellent starting point for an honest conversation with yourself. It forces you to compare the real, ongoing costs of owning versus the stated cost of renting. Now let's talk about the current reality in many markets. Mortgage rates have risen significantly from the historic lows of a few years ago. They may fluctuate, but they have settled into a higher range. At the same time, home prices in many areas remain very high. This combination means the monthly cost of ownership, calculated via the 7% rule, is also very high. In many cities, the equivalent rental price for a similar property is lower than this ownership cost.
This has led to a fascinating shift. For the first time in years, in many areas, renting has become financially advantageous over buying when you run the numbers. The gap between the monthly cost of owning and the cost of renting has widened. This doesn't mean buying is always bad. It means the financial logic has changed with the new numbers. It's crucial to analyze your decision based on today's interest rates and prices, not on the reality your parents or friends faced years ago. Let's address common pro-ownership arguments through this lens. People say, but you're building equity. This is true. However, in the first several years of a mortgage, you build equity very slowly because most of your payment is interest. The renter, if they diligently invest the monthly difference between a cheaper rent and a higher ownership cost, could be building a liquid investment portfolio that grows concurrently. Another argument is forced savings. A mortgage forces you to pay down debt and build home equity, but you can also force yourself to save by automating transfers to an investment account. This forced savings goes into a diversified, liquid asset, like stocks, rather than an illiquid asset, like home equity, which you can't access without selling or taking a loan. The tax deduction for mortgage interest is often cited. However, for many people today, the standard tax deduction is so high that itemizing deductions, which includes mortgage interest, doesn't provide an additional benefit. You should not assume a large tax break without consulting a tax professional or running your specific numbers. The intangible benefits of owning are real and valuable: stability, the freedom to modify your space, and the pride of ownership. These are not captured in a spreadsheet. Conversely, there are intangible benefits to renting: flexibility to move for a job, freedom from repair bills and property taxes, and the liquidity of not having your net worth tied up in a single physical asset. You must decide how much these non-financial factors are worth to you personally. The key takeaway is this: the decision to rent or buy is not a test of adulthood or financial success. It is a mathematical and personal lifestyle calculation. In some seasons of your life and in some markets, renting is the smarter financial move. In others, buying makes sense. The goal is to align your housing choice with your financial plan, not with societal pressure. So, what should you do? First, silence the external noise, the agents, the well-meaning family, the social media comparisons. Second, gather your local data. Find the price of a home you would realistically buy, apply the 7% rule to find your monthly ownership cost break even. Then search for the monthly rent of a comparable home in the same area. Compare the two numbers objectively. If renting is significantly cheaper, you have a clear financial signal. You can choose to rent and strategically invest the monthly difference, building wealth in the stock market while enjoying lower monthly overhead. If the costs are similar, or if owning is cheaper, then buying may be the more efficient path, provided you plan to stay in the home long enough, typically 7 to 10 years minimum, to offset the high transaction costs of buying and selling. Your housing decision is one of the largest you will make. Empower yourself with information, not impulse. Use the 7% rule as your starting point for an honest analysis. It won't give you a perfect answer, but it will give you clarity. It transforms an emotional debate into a practical calculation.
And in personal finance, that shift from emotion to analysis is where real progress begins. Remember, the right choice is the one that supports your long-term financial health and personal happiness. For some, that's the roots and stability of home ownership. For others, it's the flexibility and financial efficiency of renting while building a portfolio elsewhere. Both are valid paths to wealth. The only wrong choice is the one made out of pressure, fear, or a misunderstanding of the math. Thank you for learning with Invest Easy 101. If this breakdown of the rent versus buy decision using the 7% rule helped clarify your thinking, please subscribe. We're here to provide you with simple frameworks for your biggest financial questions. Let us know in the comments what the 7% rule calculation reveals for your local market.